I'm standing in my apartment in Portland watching the morning light pour through the window. 4 years ago, I had a different life. A wife, a house in Austin, a marriage I thought would last forever. Diana was everything to me. We talked about having kids growing old together. I believed every word she said. Then I discovered a truth that shattered everything I knew. I vanished without a word, and now after all this time she is hunting me down. Before we dive into this story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. If stories about betrayal, survival, and finding yourself again resonate with you, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you have ever wondered whether walking away in silence is the best way to protect your heart, stay with me until the very end of this one. 6 years ago, I met Diana at a company party in Austin, Texas. She worked in marketing for a large advertising firm, and I was a software engineer working remotely for a tech startup. The moment I saw her across the room, something clicked. She had this energy about her, this magnetic presence that pulled people in. We talked for 3 hours that night, and by the end of it, I knew I wanted to see her again. We dated for 2 years before I proposed. The wedding was small, intimate, just family and close friends, in a backyard ceremony under string lights. Diana cried when she said her vows. I remember thinking I was the luckiest man alive. We bought a little house in the suburbs of Austin. It had a backyard with a big oak tree, and Diana loved sitting out there in the evenings with a glass of wine. Every morning I would wake up before her and make coffee. I would have her cup ready by the time she came downstairs, still half asleep, her hair messy. She would smile at me and say good morning, and I swear that smile could have powered the whole city. Friday nights were our thing. We would cook dinner together, something new each week, and then watch a movie on the couch. She would lean into me and I would wrap my arm around her. Those were the moments I lived for. Diana was ambitious. She worked long hours, always chasing the next promotion, the next big project. I admired that about her. She would come home and tell me about her day, about the campaigns she was working on, about her coworkers. I listened to every word. I wanted to be the husband who supported her dreams. We talked about starting a family. She said she wanted to wait another year or two until she felt more established in her career. I understood. I started putting money aside anyway, thinking about turning the spare bedroom into a nursery. I imagined teaching our kid to ride a bike, taking family vacations, growing old with Diana by my side. I thought I knew what my future looked like. I thought I had it all figured out. About 8 months before everything fell apart, Diana started changing. At first it was small things. She would come home later than usual saying there was a big project with a tight deadline. I believed her. Why would I not? She had always been dedicated to her work. Then I noticed her phone was always face down on the table. She kept it on silent. When it buzzed, she would glance at it quickly and then flip it back over. If I walked into the room while she was texting, she would stop and put the phone away. She started going to the gym in the evenings instead of the mornings. She said she needed to de-stress after work. I told myself it made sense. Work was stressful. She was just taking care of herself. I tried to be supportive. I cooked dinner more often so she would not have to worry about it when she got home. I did more around the house. I did not complain when she was late or tired or distracted. I told myself I was being a good husband, but something felt off. I could not put my finger on it, but there was a distance growing between us. The Friday night dinners became less frequent. She was always too tired or had to catch up on emails. We stopped watching movies together. She would go to bed early, and I would stay up alone wondering what was happening to us. One night, Diana said she had to go to Dallas for an overnight work trip. A client meeting, she said. I wished her luck and told her I would miss her. Around 10 o'clock that night, I called to say goodnight. When she answered, I could hear loud music and laughter in the background. She said she was at a bar with colleagues after the meeting. I said, "Okay, have fun. I love you." She said it back and hung up quickly. When she came home the next evening, I hugged her. That is when I noticed it. There was a faint smell of perfume on her jacket, but it was not the one she wore. It was something different, something I did not recognize. I asked her if everything was okay. I kept my voice gentle, non-accusatory. I just said she seemed distant lately, and I wanted to make sure we were good. She snapped at me. She said I was being controlling, that I was suffocating her, that she needed space to breathe. We had never fought like that before. That night we slept facing away from each other for the first time in 4 years of marriage. I lay awake until 3 a.m, staring at the ceiling. Something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones. But I pushed the thought away. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I needed to trust my wife. I chose to believe her. I buried my doubts and tried to move forward. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it was already starting to grow. 3 months after those first warning signs, on an ordinary Wednesday afternoon, my world collapsed. Diana left for work that morning like any other day. She kissed me quickly, said, "See you tonight," and walked out the door. About an hour later, I noticed her iPad on the kitchen counter. She had forgotten it. I was working in the living room when the iPad screen lit up with a notification, a text message. The name on the screen was Brandon. The preview showed the first line of the message. "Last night was incredible. I cannot stop thinking about you." I stood there frozen. My brain could not process what I was seeing. I told myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe it was taken out of context. Maybe I was misunderstanding something. I picked up the iPad. My hands were trembling. Diana's messages synced with her phone, so everything was right there. I opened the conversation with Brandon. What I read destroyed me. The messages went back 6 months. 6 months of lies. 6 months of secret meetings at hotels twice a week. 6 months of Diana living a double life while I made her coffee every morning and kissed her good night. Brandon was her co-worker, a senior manager at her company, 35 years old, married with 2 kids. They had started flirting at a work event, and it escalated from there. I scrolled through message after message. Diana called him the one who truly understands me. She told him things she never told me. She complained about me. There was one message that felt like a knife to the chest. She wrote, "He is so boring. Always at home, no ambition. I need someone who excites me." I had to sit down. I lowered myself to the floor, my back against the wall, because my legs would not hold me up anymore. The room was spinning. Every memory of the past 4 years suddenly looked different. Every "I love you," every smile, every night she said she was working late. All of it was a lie, but the worst was yet to come. I kept reading. I could not stop myself. It was like watching a car crash in slow motion. And then I found it. The message that broke something inside me permanently. It was dated on my birthday 3 months ago. That night, Diana had told me she had an important client dinner and could not celebrate with me. She apologized and promised we would do something special on the weekend. I said it was fine. I told her work was important. I spent my birthday alone, eating leftover pizza and watching television. The message she sent to Brandon that night read, "I wish I was with you instead of him right now. This dinner with the client is so boring. Cannot wait to see you tomorrow." She was not at a client dinner. She was at a hotel with him on my birthday. I put the iPad down. I could not read anymore. I sat on the floor of our living room, the house we bought together, and I cried. Not loud, dramatic sobs. Just silent tears streaming down my face as everything I believed in crumbled to dust. For the next 2 weeks, I did not confront Diana. I could not. Every time I looked at her, I saw a stranger wearing the face of the woman I loved. I watched her lie to me with a smile. I watched her text him right in front of me, thinking I had no idea. I played the part of the clueless husband while inside I was dying. I lost 5 pounds in those 2 weeks. I could not eat. I could not sleep. I would lie awake at night listening to her breathe, wondering how I had missed all the signs. wondering if any of it had ever been real. I read more messages. Every day there was something new. Each one was another wound. I learned the names of the hotels they used. I learned their inside jokes. I learned that Brandon had promised to leave his wife for Diana, and she believed him. I thought about confronting her. I imagined the conversation 1,000 times, but I knew how it would go. She would cry. She would apologize. She would beg for forgiveness and promise to change. And part of me was terrified that I might actually believe her, that I might be weak enough to stay. I could not do that to myself. I could not become the man who begged his wife to love him. I could not spend the rest of my life wondering if she was lying every time she left the house. So I made a decision. My job was fully remote. My company had offices in several cities across the country. I contacted HR and requested a transfer to the Portland, Oregon office. I told them I needed a change of scenery for personal reasons. They approved it within a week. I found an apartment online in Portland. I opened a new bank account and started transferring my share of our savings. I did everything quietly, carefully, leaving no trace. The only person I told was Derek, my best friend from college. I called him late one night and told him everything. He was silent for a long time after I finished. Then he said, "Man, I am so sorry. Whatever you need, I am here." Derek promised to keep my secret. He was the only link I would have to my old life. The night before I left, I watched Diana sleep. Her face was peaceful, beautiful. She looked exactly like the woman I fell in love with 6 years ago. But she was not that woman anymore. Maybe she never had been. I did not wake her. I did not leave a note. What was there to say? The next morning, Diana went to work like any other day. She kissed me and said, "See you tonight." I watched her drive away knowing I would never see her again. As soon as her car disappeared around the corner, I moved. I had 2 suitcases packed and hidden in the garage. I loaded them into my car. I took one last look at the house we had built a life in, the oak tree in the backyard, the kitchen where I made her coffee every morning, the bedroom where she told me she loved me while thinking about someone else. I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter. No note, no explanation, just the ring sitting there on the cold granite, catching the morning light. Then I deleted all my social media accounts. I changed my phone number. I blocked Diana and everyone we knew. I erased myself from Austin, Texas like I had never existed. I drove for 24 hours straight. I stopped only for gas and coffee, pushing through the exhaustion, needing to put as many miles between me and my old life as possible. When I finally reached Portland, it was sunset. The sky was painted orange and pink over the Willamette River. I was so tired I could barely keep my eyes open, but somewhere deep inside I felt something I had not expected: relief. I moved into my new apartment that night. It was small and empty with bare walls and no furniture except a mattress on the floor, but it was mine. It was clean. It was a place where Diana had never been, where her lies had never touched. Derek told me later what happened when Diana discovered I was gone. She came home that evening expecting to find me cooking dinner. Instead, she found an empty house and a wedding ring on the counter. At first, she did not understand. She called my name. She checked every room. Then she saw that my clothes were gone, my laptop, my personal things. All of it vanished. She tried calling me. The number was disconnected. She went on Facebook, Instagram. My accounts no longer existed. She called every friend of mine she could think of, but no one knew where I was. My parents told her I had contacted them to say I needed time alone, and they did not know anything else. Diana hired a private investigator. He searched for 3 months and found nothing. I had covered my tracks too well. New city, new phone, new bank account, no social media presence. I was a ghost. According to Derek, Diana played the victim at first. She told everyone I had abandoned her for no reason. She cried to her friends about how confused and hurt she was. She acted like she had no idea why I would do something so cruel. But the truth has a way of coming out. A few months after I left, Diana moved in with Brandon. He had finally left his wife just like he promised. For about a year they were together, and then Brandon did to Diana exactly what they had done to me. He cheated on her with a younger woman from his office. Diana found out the same way I did through messages she was not supposed to see. When Derek told me, I did not feel satisfaction. I did not feel vindicated. I just felt tired. Karma had done its work, but it did not undo the damage. It did not give me back the years I had lost. My first year in Portland was about survival. I threw myself into work. I got promoted twice in 18 months because I had nothing else to focus on. I rented a nicer apartment with a view of the river. I started running every morning 5 miles before sunrise. The rhythm of my feet on the pavement became a kind of meditation, a way to quiet the thoughts that still haunted me sometimes. I learned to cook properly. I read books I had been meaning to read for years. I explored the city, the hiking trails in the mountains nearby, the coffee shops and bookstores. I did all the things I never had time for when I was married because I was always trying to make Diana happy. I met Nora at work. She was on my team, a quiet woman with kind eyes and a dry sense of humor. She never asked about my past. When I mentioned I had moved from Texas, she just nodded and said Portland was a good place for fresh starts. I found out later she had been through a difficult divorce herself. She understood without needing explanations. We became friends. Sometimes we would get coffee after work and talk about nothing important. There was no pressure, no expectations. Just two people who had been through hard things and come out the other side. 4 years passed. I built a new life piece by piece. I learned to enjoy my own company. I learned that being alone was not the same as being lonely. I found peace in the silence of my apartment, in the routine of my days, in the small pleasures I had overlooked when I was so focused on someone else. Then one morning I opened my email and saw a message from an unfamiliar address. The subject line made my heart stop. "Angus, please. I need to talk to you. It is Diana." I stared at that email for a long time. My first instinct was to delete it without reading, but something made me click it open. Diana had found me through LinkedIn. I had created a new profile a couple of years ago for professional networking, using only my work email. She must have searched for months before finding it. The email was long. She admitted everything: the affair, the lies, the betrayal. She told me that Brandon had cheated on her, that they had broken up, that she had lost her job during a company restructuring and had to sell the house. She said she had been in therapy for 2 years, working on herself, trying to understand why she had destroyed the best thing in her life. She said I was the only man who had ever truly loved her. She said she did not realize what she had until it was gone. She begged for a chance to meet, just to talk, just to apologize in person. I called Derek that night. I read him the email. He was quiet for a moment, then said, "You do not owe her anything, but maybe you need this for yourself." I thought about it all night. I did not want to go back to her. That door was closed forever. But there was something unfinished inside me, some wound that had never fully healed. Maybe facing her would finally close that chapter completely. I replied the next morning. I told her I would meet her once. Coffee, public place. I made it clear this was not a reconciliation. It was closure. She flew to Portland 3 days later. I arrived at the coffee shop 15 minutes early. I chose a table in the corner where I could see the door. My hands were steady, my breathing calm. I had spent 4 years preparing for a moment I never knew would come. Diana walked in at exactly 2 o'clock. She looked different, thinner, older. The confident energy I remembered was gone, replaced by something fragile. Her eyes were red, like she had been crying in the car. She sat down across from me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, "Thank you for agreeing to see me." I nodded but did not smile. I waited for her to continue. She talked for almost an hour. She told me about the guilt that consumed her after I disappeared. She told me about the nightmares, the therapy sessions, the realization that she had sabotaged her own happiness. She told me about Brandon betraying her and how it felt to be on the other side of infidelity. She told me she finally understood what she had done to me. I have changed, she said. I am not the same person I was. I know I cannot undo what I did, but I am begging you. Give me a chance to prove it. Give me a chance to make things right. I let her finish. Then I spoke for the first time. I told her about the night I found the messages. I told her how it felt to read that she wished she was with Brandon instead of me on my birthday. I told her about the weeks I spent watching her lie to my face while my heart broke silently. I told her about the 24-hour drive to Portland, the empty apartment, the years of rebuilding myself from nothing. And then I said the words I had carried inside me for 4 years. You did not just cheat on me, Diana. You made me feel like I was not enough while you were the one who was broken. She started crying. She apologized over and over. She asked what she could do to fix things. I looked at her, this woman I had once loved more than anything, and I felt something unexpected. Not anger, not hatred, not even sadness, just peace. You cannot fix this, I said. Some things once broken stay broken, but that does not mean we cannot move on. I stood up. I put some cash on the table for the coffee. I looked at her one last time. I hope you find peace, Diana. I really do. But you will not find it with me. I walked out of that coffee shop and did not look back. The evening air was cool. The sun was setting over Portland, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple. I walked slowly back to my apartment, taking in the city that had become my home. I did not feel victorious. I did not feel like I had won some battle. What I felt was something quieter, something deeper, freedom. For 4 years, a part of me had been waiting for this moment, waiting to say what needed to be said, waiting to look her in the eyes and know that I had survived, that I had not just survived, but thrived. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise and went for my usual run along the river. The air was fresh, the city still quiet. My feet hit the pavement in a steady rhythm, and for the first time in years, my mind was completely clear. I thought about the lesson this whole experience had taught me. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away without a word, not out of weakness, but out of self-respect. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Not every wound needs to be discussed and dissected. Sometimes you just need to protect yourself and trust that time will do the rest. Forgiveness, I realized, does not mean letting someone back into your life. It means letting go of the weight they left behind. Diana would carry her regrets forever. That was her burden, not mine. I thought about what Derek had said years ago when I told him I was leaving. He asked if I was running away or running toward something. At the time, I did not have an answer. Now I did. I was running toward myself, toward the man I was meant to become, toward a life where my worth was not measured by someone else's ability to see it. As the sun rose over Portland, I smiled. Tomorrow was a new day, and for the first time in a very long time, I was truly excited to see what it would bring. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had to walk away from someone to save yourself? Have you ever made a decision that felt impossible at the time, but turned out to be the best thing you ever did? I would love to hear your story in the comments below. If this story touched you, please give it a like. If you are new here, consider subscribing so you do not miss future stories. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message today, share this video with them. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for being part of this community. I hope you find the peace you deserve, whatever that looks like for you. Take care of yourself. And remember, you are always worth more than the way someone else treated you.